Would you like to be a guest on the show? Visit mastra.ai/guest. Do you have a hot take, a problem you cracked, a cool product, or a demo worth watching? Share them right here on Agents Hour.
It's Monday noon, the time is here. Shane and I'll be loud and clear. Pacific vibes, we bring the heat. AI agents can't be beat. AI agents hour, let's go. News and guests, the big show. Solving problems, we do it live. Stay informed, it's a vibe. Building agents that work for you. Making moves, we see it through. Every week, a brand new show. Tag along and watch your knowledge grow. AI agents hour, let's go. News and guests, the big show. Answering questions, we arrive. Every Monday, come alive. We want reviews, but only if it's a 5. We share the drama, we got the drive. Stay in the loop, it's the place to be. Shane and I'll be setting you free. Agents Hour, here to stay. Tune in Mondays, make your day. From the news to the problem solved. AI world, get involved.
Every week in AI, something insane happens.
And there's so much drama. Every Monday, we break it down live.
We do the news, we bring on guests building in the space.
And we go deep into the stuff that actually matters.
Agents Hour, every Monday, noon Pacific.
Follow. Don't miss it. Peace.
This is Agents Hour with Shane Thomas and Abhi Aiyer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Agents Hour. It's Monday. We started a little late. We do that sometimes,
We do that a lot.
but we're here. We are at the CodeRabbit office today, so I am in SF. We're both in San Francisco, and this is a live show. So if you are watching live, welcome. Please drop a comment in YouTube, X, wherever you're seeing us, and we can, pull it up on the screen, talk about it. We have an awesome show today. We're covering the news like we always do. There's a lot of drama.
A lot of friends in the news
A lot
today.
of friends.
A lot of money being transferred from hand to hand today.
Acquisitions, fundraising. Yeah, we got it all. And then we have Charlie from Conductor making his second appearance on Agents Hour. It's been a while. Going to be talking about Conductor Cloud and what they've been cooking over there. But before we bring on Charlie, which we'll do in just a few minutes, Agent Night was last week, Agent Night was last week, and you spoke. And
I did.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, there were so many people there. First off, Michael and WorkOS team are so good at throwing this event. The production value was insane. And you know they have good production value when like the people working the event are speaking to each other in microphones. They're like, "Oh yeah, check the lighting, check this, check that." It was so cool. I got there. They required all of us to get there at 3 p.m. and we only went on at like 7. We did dress rehearsal, mic check, sitting in this green room, like just chilling it felt like eternity, honestly. And then my talk was only 5 minutes. So like all that effort for 5 minutes, but it was good, well received. I talked about Software Factory and Mastra, cracked some jokes, but I didn't hear anyone laugh because when you're up on that stage, you can't see anybody because it's so bright, and then you can't hear anything because you can only hear yourself. It's like the first time I wore one of those microphones where it's like on your face, you don't have to hold anything. Yeah. But overall, great time. And then they had an after party as well, which was like in the basement of the Regency Hall. And I don't know, just well done again. Like there was no like corporate restaurants or catering. It was just like ma and pa restaurants from the city, and you could just go to different stands and like get an empanada or whatever. So it's just well done all around. They do it good.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause I just remember MCP night, and there was lines out the door, and they just had to keep amping it up each time. Now it's agent night. Yeah. But why don't we go ahead? Thanks for the recap. If you haven't checked out Mastra Factory, you should. But let's go ahead and bring on our first guest, or only guest today. No stranger to the show, has been on before, and I'm sure a lot of you watching have probably used Conductor. So why don't we bring on Charlie from Conductor. Charlie, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me again. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you too.
Honestly, I don't remember how long it's been. It feels like AI time is it has been at least 3 or 4 months, I think, since you've been on. And so I know you've been cooking a lot of things up over there. We know, we've chatted with you. We know Lewis, who's on the team. We know some other folks over there. So,
well, last time we chatted, Lewis wasn't even on the team yet.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
So, yeah. Definitely been a lifetime in AI time. It's funny. I was thinking about last time we talked it was also definitely pre-Fable. I think probably the go-to model was Opus 4.5. And one of the main things that has changed for us is that we don't use our local computers anymore. We don't use local hosts. We don't use work trees. Everything just happens on a remote computer that sits in the cloud somewhere. And it's kind of crazy how it's kind of crazy to think that I used to live in a world where work trees mattered so much. And so, it's partly because the models have it's actually almost entirely just because the models have gotten so much better that we've had to adjust to this new cloud world. So, excited to talk about how we thought about cloud and how we got there. But also just, good to see you guys as always.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that you were definitely one of the first proponents of was don't look at the code. You were definitely early to that, and it was, people were wondering, well, where's the IDE? Where's the editor? And I don't know if you ever even added that. And I know you could view the code in there, but there's probably a lot of pressure early to add that. But I know you were very resistant to it because you kind of saw in the future a little bit, and you're like, there will be a time when looking at the code will become less relevant. Not saying, some folks listening, I still occasionally look at code, but it is much rarer than it used to be. I very rarely look at code these days.
Yep. It's funny. We've gone through a lot. Anytime we're thinking about adding a feature that either internally we want or user wants, we try and think of is it going to be ahead of the puck or where the puck is or a little behind it. And one thing that we really debated was adding the terminal in the bottom right. When we first released the app, which is now a year ago, I really didn't want to do a terminal because I just felt like that wasn't the future. But we still have the terminal. And so that's one thing that I actually think has remained useful for a while. In terms of viewing the code and editing the code, we did finally acquiesce to user demand, and we added a thing that we call caveman mode, where you can edit the code. We're using Pierre's diffs library for that, which has been amazing. Shout out to the Pierre team. They're awesome to work with. But we also don't look at the code that much anymore, and it's steadily trended downwards as the models have gotten better. I think there are occasions where looking at the diffs, the diff viewer is important just to get a sanity check, and also just to honestly, actually the main reason I use the diff viewer is to see which lines the AIs have commented on. But that even doing that is trending downwards for us.
The growth of how the product has changed so quickly it's been so awesome to see. Also, congrats on your Series A, by the way.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
amazing.
You.
Yeah, that's new since last time.
Thank you. Yeah, and you too as well. You too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Congrats to you as well.
So when did this shift for you? I remember it's almost like Conductor became cloud agent native overnight. It just came out of nowhere. Yeah. But it obviously was seeded for a while. So at what point did you know where you needed to shift? And how did you both retain your current user base on the way there?
Yeah, great question. So we've been talking about this since December. That's I remember when we had our first conversations about cloud becoming the next important thing. Um, I think I think the reason we like hesitated and went back and forth for it so long was because we just weren't sure how long the models were going to run for. And so like the thing that just like kind of like made it clear that we needed to do this was when Fable came out. It was like, oh crap! Like we're quickly gonna be in a world where these can run for like not just like minutes, but hours, days, like even weeks. Um, and the other thing that, and obviously, like if something is running for weeks, you can't just let it run on your, I have a MacBook Air like sitting right here. I don't want to just like leave it propped open for a while. But the other thing that's really important is like when we launched Conductor a year ago, it was crazy at the time to imagine running like even 3 to 5 cloud codes at the same time. But now that the models are better and you can let them run for longer, it means that you can also have like more of them running at the same time because you don't need to like constantly be context switching. Like, oh, what feature is this one working on? Does it need me to prod it? Oh, is this one finished plan mode? Do I need to like approve the plan? Like you can trust the agents to do a lot more work, especially with like Fable class of models. And so because you can run so many more now, it's even crazier to like imagine them constrained to the computer. And then we started experimenting with multiplayer ideas. With the gist of that is like I want to see what everyone on the team is working on at the same time. And so once we started like seeing the value there, it's just like, which was now like probably 2 months ago, it was like clear that we had to go all in on cloud. And then in terms of like bringing our users along for the ride, that's an open question. We're still like figuring out how to, like there's a couple of issues. Like you're basically getting a brand new computer. And so setting up a new computer always sucks. No one likes doing it. And so like part of our job now is to figure out how to make setting up a new computer fun and easy. Actually, maybe first step is easy, then we can get to fun. But it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a trend we've been seeing, and you're exactly right. I think we're going to look back at the time of last year when people had their laptops cracked open, right, all the time.
Yeah, they're walking around
like this.
Yeah.
And then there were apps. A lot of people had like apps that would just keep it running, so you could close your screen, and that was a big thing for a while. And we're going to look back and kind of laugh at that because you're exactly right. Where whether I was running Cloud Code, Mastra Code, Conductor, if you have too many sessions opened, it's going to bring your computer to a halt, right? And that's, I think everyone's probably experienced it at some time where they just are trying to run too much and their computer slows down. And you're exactly right. Why should you be constrained to just your local machine, especially when you pretty much want to kick off this task, let it run for a while, and then you'll check in on it later.
Yeah. And maybe I could share my screen and show you, and like I think something. Actually, am I able to share my screen in this? Let's try.
Yeah, you should have a share button. Yeah, we love seeing demos. So if you can show a demo.
Okay, let me do that. Okay. Oh crap! I have to approve. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, allow. Let's see, entire screen.
And the nice thing about this is it's live, but our producer Jan will cut all this stuff out and we'll repost the video.
Okay.
Later. So if you are
sorry for all the live watchers.
So if you're watching this live and and we get sometimes, Sebastian in the chat says there's a little echo. So if you're hearing an echo or anything, let us know. We can fix it, and then we can make sure that, in the recorded video, it'll be gone anyways. But we do appreciate.
It wants me to quit out. It wants me to quit Dia and restart. Should I do
well,
it?
You quit and rejoin, and Abhi and I will bide time with the people that are watching live.
Okay, great.
All right, while we're waiting for Charlie.
Another good thing about cloud agents is like you don't have to like worry about work trees. You could just you can work trees still, but I run on a disk space on my computer. Right? I have a terabyte and I ran out.
Yeah, I've had hundreds of gigabytes in pretty much just different work trees. I haven't run out yet, but I know it's coming.
Yeah.
And then you got to go and clean it up, and not depending on what you're using, it doesn't always clean it up very well.
Yeah. And then node modules are a freaking dwarf star of size, like 100 gigs in one. and
then you just, there's other solutions. I know like copy on write was a big try to solve that problem, but I think the solution is just don't need to depend on a local machine for something that you want to run for a long time.
Yeah, we're experimenting with like keeping like checkpoints of code warm. So when you have these cloud environments, they can just like restore from the last known good version of your code base. And then, these VMs are ephemeral. So like they'll go away after you're done. You don't have to really worry about it. I guess, Charlie when he gets back, he'll show us some cool stuff. But there's a whole life cycle. Like just giving someone a computer is not enough. And he's back.
I'm back. I've returned. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, so
we can see it.
Cool. So I wanted to give a quick demo of something that I think everyone is overlooking in cloud right now, and that is multiplayer. Because like the first like instant thing that you get from moving to a cloud world is that like this is a cloud workspace in Conductor. As far as the user is concerned, it looks and feels just like a local Git work tree. But you can see this little subtle green cloud icon in the top left and click it and see that it actually is running on the cloud. And you can see a little information about the computer you're using. But everything on the right also just feels exactly like normal Conductor. Like I can click a file and view the file changes or even like make edits. And it just streams that information from the cloud workspace to my local Conductor app. So like that's like the stuff that everyone like already knows is cool. Like I can quit the app and the agents are going to keep running. I can have a bunch of them out running and it's not using up a ton of RAM. But the thing that people aren't talking enough about is when you are cloud first, you can see what everyone is working on in real time, and then you can actually like prompt together, which is pretty cool. So if I go to this home page, I can see these are all the workspaces like across all my projects, and then I can see these little avatars, and those are people on the team. So I can click on this workspace, and it takes a second to load, and I can see that up here on the top right that like I'm online, Caden's online. I can see his prompts. And if I scroll to the bottom here, I can actually see in real time that like his agent is working. And I can see what he prompted. And if I want, I could be like, hi, Caden. I don't actually think I should mess up his workspace because it looks like he's doing real work. But there's a small, like a few kind of cool UX things that we can do here. So like we can tag people and I can be like, at Jackson, like, what do you think of this? I can click up here and follow the workspace. So like, even though like I didn't create it, I can like have it in this little following section in the top left. But also we've given all our agents access to a Conductor API. So you can see, how well can you see the text here? Maybe I'll make it bigger.
Decent.
Yeah.
So you can see here that the agent actually decided to create a workspace itself. And so I can click that and it will take me to a workspace that an agent decided to create.
Wow.
And here at the bottom, I can see the workspace it was sent from. And so like all of this stuff theoretically could work in a local world if you like always had your computer open and like caffeinated it or something. And then like you uploaded your teammates' transcripts to the cloud somehow. But anyway, it would be really confusing. And so by just going local or cloud first, it makes like multiplayer super seamless. It makes the ability for the agents to create workspaces super seamless. And then obviously we now have an iPhone app, which is going to be too hard for you to see. But like I'll go to this workspace and I'll just say like, hi from iPhone, and send it. And then you can see the message just popped up.
Sick.
And so I'll stop sharing the screen now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole concept of multiplayer wouldn't work without cloud, at least not intuitively. You want to be able to stream the results from, so I can see the same stream you're seeing. We can steer the agent together. You could
exactly, yeah.
I think the one thing that this does, which is an unlock that has always been something difficult to do, is like hand off work to someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, of course, you just push up a PR. It's not that challenging, but it's even better if you can actually see everything that went into creating that work. What was the person thinking?
Exactly.
How were they prompting it? What were they explaining? Maybe you can look back at what they were saying and find flaws in their logic instead of just flaws in the code. Like actually flaws that I wouldn't have done it this way. I think it's going to end up in the wrong spot because we didn't provide the right details on whatever the feature is, right?
Yeah, and the session context, right? The agent has the context from that session, even if I'm jumping in and taking it over, as opposed to you have to deep research the PR when you take it over and then start from scratch.
And you're still guessing what the original context was, right? It's like it's lossy. So
exactly. The way I think about it is like code is almost like the sawdust of the conversation. It's sort of like the byproduct that you could throw away in 2 months when a new model comes out, and then you can just like replay the conversation again and get new code that's better magically because the models are better. But the other analogy we often talk about is like Figma made it so that like in one click you can see in real time what your teammates are working on and like see an artifact of their work. And so our goal is to make it so instead of creating a PR and then like sending that and then going to Slack and copying and pasting it and then opening that and then in your Cloud Code, like opening the PR or like copying and pasting parts of the messages, there's like in one click, I can press Command-Shift-C. I don't even have to click, and I have a link to my workspace that anyone on the team can access. And that has felt really magical.
So another good implication of this is there's a loneliness problem in SF, but there's also a loneliness problem in engineering teams because no one pair programs anymore, right? There's no sense of camaraderie when you're doing your craft. How have you seen that in your own team? Are you pair planning? Are people collaborating again?
People are collaborating again. I think the most common use case has still been review. That's mostly when we've been using it. It's just I have a workspace, I have all the changes, and I just want like a quick sanity check on something. But it's a good point. I think even though we're at the frontier, or pretty close to it, we're still kind of figuring out the new cultural norms. Do we chat do we at each other in the workspace and then collaborate like that, or do we prepare a bunch of plans and then share that? It's still kind of I think these new norms are being invented. We haven't quite figured it out yet.
A weird byproduct, which I'm not predicting, but if I was bold enough, I might predict is, Conductor for your team basically becomes like a second Slack. I could squint and see that being a possibility where, here's the feature we're working on. Let's just collaborate here with the agent watching and interacting alongside of us. I don't know if all your chats are going into Conductor, but I could certainly see a subset of communication ending up there for sure.
Yeah, especially engineering discussions. And I think if anyone is watching this, works at one of the labs or is working on models, interesting problem we've run into is that all of the language models are trained for these one-on-one turn conversations where I say something, then Opus says something, then I say something and Opus says something. And Opus might say a lot of stuff, it might have multiple turns within its response, but it's not trained for a world where, I say something and then Abhi says something, and then Shane says something, and then the model responds. And so I think this is partly a harness problem, but also partly just the way the models are trained. And I think that building anything great takes a bunch of people. And so I think in the future it's going to take a bunch of humans and a bunch of agents to build great things. And so I think there's opportunity to train the models to understand what a multi-turn conversation looks like.
Yeah, we struggle with this too with our agents. We built some primitives in Mastra so you can have these multiplayer conversations, but that doesn't mean the model is good at responding to them. We can queue messages, we can insert context, but it still has to acknowledge that there's other questions that are not addressed, but it's still so singular focused on the thing it was working on, So it's not we can, as humans, we can do multitasking, multi-context in a single conversation. I could respond to both of you at the same time with threads or whatever, but agents aren't that way.
And very importantly, when to not say anything. Like sometimes I'll say like at Abhi, just FYI, like you should be aware of this, and you'll know that you don't need to respond. Whereas the models love tokens. They love to.
Thank you for that, Charlie. Thank you so much.
Well, I thank you. Yeah, exactly. It's like thumbs up, like looks great, and then like 500 words on like its thoughts. Yeah. So the models they'll love to speak.
I'm curious, Charlie. Why did you decide to do the iOS app versus like a common surface people have is Slack, right? Would you have been able to achieve the same thing just using a Slack app, or did you want a rich mobile experience?
Great question. So we do have a Slack internal app that will release as like a first party thing. But something I didn't mention that I also think is super cool is that we have a API now. So anyone can build anything they want on top of Conductor workspaces. And so we've seen people build their own Slack bots and their own like mobile apps, and even one person made like this like chicken farm game where like the chickens are workspaces and they're like eating when they're working, and then they like like look up when they're done. But long story short, Slack is too noisy. I think there's like a lot of like exciting interface ideas that we have, and so we just wanted to like control the interface for mobile. Like live activities while the workspace is working, or push notifications, or like seeing the avatars when someone's in the same workspace, and like things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, you get to control the design experience as well.
Yeah,
not have to deal with Slack's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we've said on this show, if you have been watching for a while, for those of you tuning in, Abhi and I always talk about either the bar test or sometimes we call it the beach test, right? Is what can you kick off and then go and finish the work from the bar or from the beach, right? And I think we're getting closer to that being possible, right? With with the mobile app, with there are tools you can use within Slack or whatever, but we can basically take it with you and actually be very productive just from a mobile device, and you don't have to bring your computer everywhere.
Yeah.
I think we're very, very close to that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a world where the Conductor mobile app is the primary way people are using Conductor. And then I think there's like a world ahead of that where it's agents are the primary users of Conductor. Like they're the ones spinning up workspaces, deciding when something is finished, deciding when to merge and stuff like that.
Totally agree.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to show off today, Charlie? Otherwise, we appreciate you coming on the show, showing off Conductor Cloud. I guess how do people, I think a lot of people probably know what Conductor is, but if someone is living under a rock and they don't know what Conductor, they haven't heard of it, where do they go to get started?
They should go to conductor.build.
All right. So,
but yeah, thanks for having me as always. And it's crazy how much has changed in like 3-4 months. Next time I'm on, I'm curious what kind of world we'll be living in. But yeah,
we'll all be in those Ohio Waymo cars and, just coding from our phones. Charlie, are you guys hiring?
Yes, we are hiring. If you live in SF or want to move to SF and are excited about building the future of orchestrating agents, reach out to me at charlie@conductor.build.
All right, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks for coming on the show. It was good to see you.
Thanks as always. See you later.
Dude, did you subscribe?
Dude, I host the show. Did you subscribe?
Did you subscribe?
Subscribe to Agents Hour every Monday, noon Pacific.
Agents Hour here to stay. Tune in Mondays, make your day. From the news to the problem solved. AI will get involved.
We're back.
Dude, that was fun.
That's fun. Dude, Conductor's grown so much in such a short amount of time. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Pretty crazy.
Conductor was definitely a big, unlock for me because everyone was all in the terminal, and I can use a terminal just like anyone else, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind the terminal, but I always thought that's not the in-surface area, and they were kind of the first to look at what maybe it's just the chat interface, right, running locally, and I feel like now they're seeing what the trend that we're seeing, the trend that a lot of you are probably seeing, which is okay, but at some point, you can't run all this on your local machine.
Yeah.
Not saying you might still run some things on your local machine, maybe, but most of it probably doesn't need to live on your machine. So it's cool to see like the progression. I think we're going through some of the same things over at Mastra. I think a lot of you are probably starting to question what should I run locally and what would be good things to run in the cloud. And I think there's going to be a shift over the next 6 to 12 months where teams put more and more of these workloads into running on the cloud.
Yeah, because the cost is a big factor here, and then inference cost, compute, all the infrastructure. But the benefits of it will still outweigh that in the long run.
Yeah, and it's going to take a while, I think, for the transition to happen because people, there's still something nostalgic about looking at the code sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And being able to point out, and you still can't trust the models.
Yeah.
And make dumb decisions. Every time I look at the code deeply, I usually regret it because I'm like, I would not have done that. And then you steer it and it corrects itself. But you can't put blind trust. But if you get the context better, I think a lot of this stuff, the models keep getting a little bit better. More and more of a percentage of your work could just live in the cloud.
Yeah, we had that news story last week with Elon saying that everything's code is just going to become a binary, which we didn't agree with. And the reason is you only start looking at these things when things go wrong. And so you do need to dive into code from most things that are more complex. But for normal stuff, you could just use Conductor and cook, and you should be totally fine. So super tight. We're going to get into the news in a second. A lot of interesting news today with friends and enemies and all the things in between. But first, I just want to say we are in SF this week. It's Founder Week at Mastra. We are in the CodeRabbit studio. And if you don't know about CodeRabbit, CodeRabbit is an agentic change management. And there's some news about them this week. We are in the studio. So thank you, CodeRabbit, as always. I'm rocking my CodeRabbit jacket, just killing it. And you can see right here this dope Renaissance painting of the founders of CodeRabbit. So we're definitely decked out today. So just once again, thanks, CodeRabbit, for allowing us to use the studio. And if you're interested in code review, you can look at the Mastra open source repo. We rely on CodeRabbit so much for pretty much all of our review. We don't ship until the rabbit is happy. That's what we say internally.
That rabbit's got to be happy.
The rabbit ain't happy, you ain't shipping shit. So if you're interested, it's free for open source projects. You got to pay for not open source, but I'm sure they'll cut you a deal if you reach out to them. So thank you.
And maybe if we say enough good things, maybe I'll get a free jacket at some point. I need a CodeRabbit jacket.
I know, you need some more swag.
I need some CodeRabbit swag. I'm going to talk to Eric. Going to talk to Hendrik. I need some swag to wear on the show.
I have the CodeRabbit apron. I think that's limited edition, dude. Yeah.
All right. I know I ruined Jan's transition there as I was busting and asking about wanting free stuff, but let's get into the news. Let's do it. All right, everyone. Welcome to Agents Hour. If you're just tuning in, we're going to do the news. It is Monday, August 17th. There's been a lot going on. There's a lot to cover. We do this every week. If you're watching live, please add comments, add your takes. We'll talk about them on the show. If you're tuning in after the fact, whether you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere else, YouTube, thanks for watching. Give us that subscribe. Give us that 5-star review. That helps other people like yourself find the show. Or you could just tell a friend. But a lot of times people tell us they don't have any friends.
Their agents are their
friends. Their agents are their friends. So if that's you, then the review helps. Otherwise, I'm sure you have some friends that might be interested in the show.
I'll be your friend.
Yeah, please.
If you give me a 5-star review.
Yeah. Friendship comes cheap.
Dude, transactional friendships in San Francisco is that easy. 5 stars.
Yeah, please do give us a review. And with that, let's jump into the news. There's a lot to cover. We'll try to move through it pretty quickly, but there's a lot. All right. A little preview of what's going on this week. So let's start off with something a little more fun. This was something that I saw pop up on my feed. I just found out my best friend broke up with their SF boyfriend over the weekend. I asked what happened. She goes, I found out he had an AI agent managing the relationship. Turns out the thoughtful texts, the check-ins, the good morning messages, the conflict resolutions, dinner, let me pull it up. Dinner date plans were automated. My friend was emotionally attached to a cron job.
Dude. Honestly, it's beautiful.
This is the world we live in now.
The world we live in.
This is the sad thing is this is what's going on in SF. But if it's going on in SF now, in 6 months or 12 months, ladies, it's going to be everywhere.
It's
So
everywhere.
be prepared.
If you got a message from me on Bumble, you know that it was not me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a wild world that agents are going to be, because I think it probably starts with just asking the agent for advice.
Yeah.
And then you cut out the middleman, which is yourself. You just let the agent go direct.
Then you train it on your voice, which we do. Like, we do this for Twitter posting. So like you can imagine people can do this for text. Your agent can live in iMessage now, thanks to different providers.
Yeah,
You could totally pull this off.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't,
Even you can pull it off.
it doesn't surprise me actually, but that's the world we live in. All right, let's talk about Anthropic watermarks. So just in, Claude models will now have invisible watermarks embedded in all text and all metadata attached to files. I think this originally started as kind of like maybe it was EU regulation or request from EU, and then Claude basically came out, or Anthropic came out and said, our content, AI generated content, is going to have watermarks. The way that I understand it works, it's basically like detects. It's not necessarily just metadata. It detects like the words, and then it can give you some kind of accuracy of or percentage of, yes, this is most likely AI generated because these watermarks are here in this certain pattern. But also, I'm paying for you to generate it. Maybe I don't want it watermarked.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people are kind of giving some backlash around that they don't want because even if you do take out parts, revise it, those watermarks probably still persist to some level. In some ways, I think it's okay, but in other ways, like what if 90% of it was me massaging the output and like using it for just generation, but the watermark persists? Like at what level should it be watermarked or shouldn't it be? What if I just use it for an outline and then I write it myself? I guess that wouldn't be watermarked, right?
How many people are checking watermarks too, even if they do exist? I don't know.
So I don't know. What do you think? If you're watching the chat, what do you think of AI watermarking your content? I think this has the potential to maybe push more people to using open models if they don't do the same type of like hidden watermarking process. I think Anthropic was also going to have an API so you could run content through it to figure out if it had like traces of this watermark thing in there. How does it work with code? These are questions I have. I haven't read into it enough, but I think this is these are interesting times because I think we're going to see this from more people.
And of course, the EU is the first people to demand these things.
Yeah. And I bet Anthropic just said, well, if we're going to have to do it for the EU, we can't just like make a change just for the EU. So we'll have to make it for everybody. But I also wonder, what does that mean for OpenAI? Are they going to follow suit? What are the...
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I think all the frontier labs that are operating in Europe will have to do this this Transparency Act or whatever it's called. Was it EU AI Acts Article 502, Code of Practice on Transparency of AI Generated Content.
Yeah.
That's whack.
And I think, most of the time when I'm looking at AI generated writing, I can tell. It's usually not great. But ultimately, if the writing is good, I don't care if it's human written or AI written.
Yeah.
I just can usually tell that AI written writing sucks. So you probably just shouldn't do it.
I think over the weekend, a lot of people got roasted for M dashes again. So, let's become a meme.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know why we should care too much, right?
Yeah, as long as the content is good. But I could see, especially with video, so maybe it matters more. You don't want to represent, it looks like someone's in a video. Like there are some real reasons why having watermarks could be good, but I think we will find out more. So this came out, not exactly related, but it is kind of related. Maybe I'll just share the whole thing here. So there's a thread, and we're not going to go through the whole thing. We'll run through it really quick because I thought it was kind of interesting. So they found a way to, and you can see this got 3.3 million views. So a lot of people thought this was pretty interesting. Found a way to extract hidden reasoning of frontier models using a vulnerability in the APIs of every frontier AI company. They verify the reasoning token count matches build API thinking tokens 1 for most of the prompts queried. And then back in May, they found that encrypted reasoning could be replayed outside of its original context. They reported it to the labs, and they said they don't see security implications. So this means that like Haiku 4.5 can read Opus 4.8's thoughts, if you do a little bit of jailbreaking, basically. This suggests that distilling reasoning traces may have been possible for a long time without ever breaking the cryptography. Some other things that came of this, let's see. The big one is that if you ever shared an online Claude Code or Codex session with encrypted reasoning blobs, they can be decoded and leak your personal data. So there's just, a lot of interesting things. You can read the thread. You can read the paper about it as well and kind of see. But what do you think of this?
I think it's very surprising that they don't think that's a security hole, Maybe they would if like someone could successfully distill from it, then maybe Dario would be all pissed. But until that's proven, I guess, it's not that big a deal. But leaking personal data is always a big deal. So
yeah, but I think it's like you'd have to have the link. But I do think that I saw other reports of like the links could be searchable in certain contexts as well. So
if it's like a public combo or something,
because it's a public, if you share it, it becomes a public link, and it's, you need to know the URL. But
yeah, but you also have to log in. So I guess like the threat vector is like you have to jump through some hoops.
Yeah,
normal fools won't do that.
We had a bunch of new models over the week, so let's talk about those. Grok 4.6 came out. This was from August 12th. It delivers frontier intelligence and is a significant improvement over Grok 4.5 at the same price. You can see how it compares to Grok 4.5, how it compares to 5.6 Sol, how it compares to Fable. And it is right there. I mean, it's not still, some benchmarks it's ahead, some benchmarks it's just slightly behind, but it basically puts itself in the conversation with 5.6 and Fable, right?
Yeah. I dailied Grok last week. So I dailied 4.5. Didn't necessarily like it, but I promised Evan I would. I did that. 4.6 came out, tried it, and then I was like, oh, it's Friday. Don't have to do this anymore. But maybe I'll do it.
Did it pass the vibes, or was it?
It passed the vibes, but I didn't, at that point I was like, I felt like I was working handicapped last week because it's just not as good as like 5.6. But then 4.6 was really good. I have this test I do with new models now, which I just say make Bomberman the game, like a Game Boy version of it. And it didn't one-shot it, but it did a pretty good job. So I was like, I was pretty impressed, but I haven't done that same test on 4.5 because I was just doing that for work.
Okay, so you haven't done it on 4.6 either?
No, I did it on 4.6.
Okay.
I haven't done it on like Opus 5. I got you. Wasn't doing it. So I have to revisit that.
And then Elon came out that day and said Grok 4.7 is better than 4.6 and should be ready in 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So the idea is we just got 4.6 and there's already something in the works that's going to be a lot better. So maybe, could XAI leapfrog, could Grok leapfrog the other two models? Do you think it's possible?
I'm starting to think so, mainly because we have friends there now. And all they're saying is frontier soon. That's all this. They can't reveal anything. They're just saying frontier soon. And I'm just like, okay.
For a long time, I kind of thought it was Anthropic and OpenAI's race. And now you have Grok, pretty competitive. You have Meta, which is they're in the game. They're still kind of a little bit behind, but they're in the game. Especially if they're leaning more towards open models. Like who would have thought that Meta's going to be the open champions? You kind of thought it back when Llama was a thing, and then it kind of crashed. But now maybe they're reemerging, and we're going to have some competitive open models from the U.S. So the game is still open.
I guess we could check with CodeRabbit after on how they benchmarked, because they benchmark models all the time for their stuff. I'm curious how 4.5 versus 4.6.
So speaking of open models, GLM 5.3 was released on August 14th. It says built to code, ready for cyber defense. I've been seeing a lot of hype around how good it is for cyber defense.
Yeah.
But you can see it. You can look at the benchmarks here. It's better than 5.2 by quite a big margin on almost every benchmark. It's still behind, Fable 5 and 5.6 on most things, although it's very close on a couple things. I mean, and actually better on a few benchmarks. So it's near frontier level intelligence.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they've opened it yet or not, I guess, but
It's not on Ollie Cloud yet.
it's not.
And then I started thinking about this too. Like, I want to try this out, but I have to wait, which I guess pushes most people to go get a Z plan.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, Grok is like as good and cheap too. So maybe I don't even care.
Yeah. I mean, I think people do care if it's, once it's open, because then there's always even though no one's running this model, right? No one's running this model themselves, but it's the idea that you could, right? Or you can use one of the other providers and just pay, basically pay inference for it. So this is from Qwen. It says, we promised open weights for Qwen 3.8. Now time to meet them. So they have Qwen 3.8 27B. And so this is impressive because it's a model you could actually feasibly run yourself. And I think I saw it's nearly like Opus 4.5 level on a lot of tasks. And it's basically you can run it yourself. And I'm pretty sure it was Opus 4.5 when I was looking into this, that it beat Opus, or was close to Opus 4.5. And now it's a 27B model you can run on your own hardware, which is wild.
Yeah. And then 3.8 Max is on Ollie Cloud. So I'm about to burn some tokens.
Yeah. And then you have the 3.8, 2.5 trillion parameter model, which is now open weights. And so now you can, test that out too. So open weight models are still here. And then, this is just talking about the 27B model. I think there's been a lot of hype around local inference. Now becomes, just imagine a year ago and you could, when was that? Maybe it was a year ago, whenever 4.5 came out and it was amazing. And then imagine fast forwarding saying you can actually have that or close to that on your own device.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean, think about 4.5 was a great model, right? And sure, is it not as good as, maybe it's not as good as what we have in the frontier right now, but everyone was hyped about that. Now you can have it for free if you have the machinery, or just pay fraction of the price to have that same fun. Maybe people want to rebuild GitHub and stuff. You can go do that.
Yeah, just let it run.
For cheap.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because earlier we were talking about how a lot of the compute and a lot of your coding is moving to the cloud, but I still think there's this idea of, I just want to pay electricity and I want to run something for days on my own computer because it's free, right? And so I think the tooling to run things locally is getting better. I think the models are getting better. And again, I'm not saying this is 4.5. I haven't tested it. It's just kind of what I've heard, that I think some of the benchmarks, it's pretty close to 4.5. And it's wild that you can just run that locally. Now, there's a lot happening. Honestly, the last couple weeks, I feel like there's some, money's moving. There's a lot of consolidation as far as acquisitions, and also a lot of fundraising going on. So this was a huge one. Stripe has finalized an agreement to acquire OpenRouter, a startup that helps companies switch between artificial intelligence models for more than $7 billion, according to people familiar with the matter.
Yeah, dude, they just raised 1.5 billion valuation.
So they basically 5x'd in 3 months,
which is wild.
And we've met Alex before. We know a few people over there. Congrats to them.
Yeah,
this is
congrats.
Awesome. This is an awesome outcome. Your growth has been tremendous. I mean, their revenue ramp, their token ramp has been insane.
Another one of Sam's fraternity bros is rich.
So yeah, that's awesome. An amazing outcome. Now let's talk about why.
Yeah, why?
Why is OpenRouter? That's the question everyone's asking. Why is OpenRouter worth $7 billion? Make it make sense.
There's a premium there going on for sure.
Because I think it's 50x reported revenue, which is, you don't make acquisitions typically for 50 times reported revenue unless you think there's either insane growth or there's some kind of extreme strategic value that it
Yeah.
would be providing Stripe.
And the technology.
So I have my theory. What's your theory?
I think our theory is probably the same, but I think it's more about the technology and Stripe being a player in this game since before this era. They got money. That's number one. They have money to blow. Do they want to go recruit a bunch of Gen Z kids in SF to build this product themselves? Or do you want to go get this solid team that is making money with solid infrastructure and technology and just grab them and then you have to pay for that?
Yeah, and we have no inside information at all on this, but I think I agree with that. I think we had a conversation a while back about Ramp becoming an AI company. Ramp released their gateway. I feel like Stripe and Ramp are on this collision course where they're both kind of in the financial sector, but they both want to like really become known as AI companies as well. Like not just finance companies or like credit card processing companies or credit card companies, right? They want to actually be AI companies.
Yeah.
And I think Stripe saw what Ramp was doing. Stripe's been, releasing a lot of information on their blog around their developers becoming more productive. They're moving to cloud agents. They've had this like weird competition, I think, even though they're not.
They haven't talked shit about each other yet.
Yeah, they're not.
But it's coming.
They're not exactly overlap, but I think they're like heading in the same direction. There's a collision course. And I think Stripe just said, you know what? Like, it's going to take us 6 months to build this ourselves, and we're still not.
More.
Yeah, and we're likely not going to get that kind of traction. We'll just pay a premium. And then now we've just inserted ourselves in the game.
Yeah.
Now they're firmly in the game, and we'll see what they do next.
Yeah. Like tokens are a form of currency now, so at least for agents.
Yeah, you want to be on the token chain, right? You're
Yeah.
on the inference chain in some level. And if you can be the one that's routing between models, and I'm sure Stripe has some, they've been posting a lot about how their developers are using it, so maybe they see the perceived value. I'm sure a lot of developers at Stripe were huge users of OpenRouter.
Imagine you start your business, you sign up, you do your business registration through Stripe. You get tokens, like just given to you for signing up. Now you have currency to build your product or assist your company. And then if they do expense management and all that stuff, which I'm betting they're going to do the whole life cycle, you could run your whole business on Stripe. You don't need a Brex. You don't need Ramp or anything, So I would say like everyone else should be scared too.
All right. Another friend, Aparna, had this post. She's from Arize. Jason and I started Arize 6+ years ago with a simple proposition that headlined our seed deck. We make the world's AI work. Today we're announcing we've entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired by Dynatrace to accelerate that vision. So another acquisition. Congrats to friends Arize.
Billy, dude.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's been another, good outcome, great multiple on, like just how they've been growing. I mean, they definitely, like, I always hear about just how good they are for enterprise, right? Like that's where I always hear Arize come up, is a lot of the big users of Mastra or others that we talk to just really see Arize as kind of like the enterprise way to get observability on their traces. So definitely interesting to see how fast they've grown over the last couple of years, and congrats to them and the whole team.
And like Dynatrace was like founded in like 2005. So they've been around for like 21 years. They're an observability company.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be an AI. They are an AI observability company. Arize is really good for AI observability.
And Arize has Phoenix, which is their open source version as well. So
and they have the evals and all the stuff. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Dynatrace. So maybe it's their way to,
to get back in the game.
Get in the game.
Yeah, they're from Boston. People don't know who Dynatrace is. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But now they'll know because of Arize.
Yeah, and I guess that's the big move they wanted to make, right? Because they're public, right? They're a
public company. I wonder what they're trading at. I'll look it up right now.
And while you look that up, so we are in the CodeRabbit office, and a big announcement from CodeRabbit happened last week. This is August 12th. It says we raised a $143 million Series C at a $1.5 billion valuation to build the control layer for software change. Our first investor got involved for a totally different reason. And so we got to watch this video because why not? Give me 1 second to pull it up. It's a fun video. And I think if, for those of you that have ever watched Silicon Valley, you'll appreciate it.
It's on point.
All right. So let me start this.
Hey, Josh. Thanks for seeing me today. Take a seat.
Oh, sick.
So, as I'm sure you already know, your portfolio is through the roof since the $143 million round CodeRabbit closed.
CodeRabbit?
Yeah, you invested heavily and early. You were the lead investor in the seed and Series A round.
Yeah. I remember thinking it sounded like there was like a rabbit coding, and I wanted to be part of that.
Well, you certainly were, because now you're a certified billionaire.
Oh, wait. What does CodeRabbit do?
Let's take a look. Build codebase-aware context across pull requests, repositories, and developer workflows to detect defects, security risks.
Oh, do you mind if I?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Let's go.
Okay. Security risks and architectural regressions, then generate actionable fixes before merge.
For sure. So where does the rabbit come in?
There's no rabbit.
What? Then what's all the money for?
So that was hilarious. That was fun to see. So
Fucking
yeah,
big head, dude. That's dope.
yeah. So yeah, big head. So congrats to friends over at CodeRabbit. That's a big
Dude, do you think if we raise our B or C or whatever, we can get Dinesh? We just keep this story going because Railway had Guilfoyle,
Guilfoyle. Yeah,
and then now Big Head's on the table.
I feel like Dinesh would be the hardest to get.
Hardest because he's like a movie star.
Yeah,
But I don't want Richard though. He's whack. Maybe we'll get Ehrlich.
early.
We'll get Ehrlich.
There you go. Gotta go get
TJ.
Ehrlich.
We'll get TJ Miller.
All right.
Watch. We'll just get Monica. It's gonna be terrible. But
So
it's all
Lovable
good.
Lovable also had an announcement August 12th. A lot came out on this August 12th, it seems like. I got to share my screen though, apparently. So Lovable also announced a raise. So they raised $400 million at a $13.3 billion valuation to help you achieve more than you ever thought you were capable of. So Lovable keeps growing. That's a huge raise. Congrats to the team over at Lovable. When's the last time you used Lovable?
It's been a while, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Been a
I was a
while.
huge user about 18 months ago.
Same. I just use Replit now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I use Replit, or I just, I feel like if you already are running your coding agents locally or
Yeah.
in the cloud, you just do it there. But I do know so I have a friend who, has used Replit, uses Lovable, uses them both, depending, I think kind of bounces back and forth. And he's less technical than me, and he loves tools like this. So there's still a huge market of folks who don't have any understanding or deep understanding of how writing code works, how deploying code works, and if you can do it all in an all-in-one platform. And Lovable does have a lot of and same with Replit, a lot of connectors to make it really easy. So congrats. All right, let's talk about agent harnesses and infra. So DeepSeek Harness v0.1 is now available in developer preview. So it's opened up. Is it TypeScript based?
There's TypeScript.
Yeah. So
Looks very much like Pi.
yeah, very similar to that. So if you're a DeepSeek fan, try that out. So Cerebrus announced on August 13th, previewing ultra-fast mode for OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Soul, powered by Cerebrus. Generates responses at up to 750 tokens per second, which is wild for a frontier model of that size.
Dude, as a stockholder in Cerebrus, I'm very happy because we are up 15%. So, not financial advice, though. Not financial advice.
And if you're watching this show, you should know that anything we say on here is definitely not financial
advice at all.
advice.
But I'm a Cerebrus stockholder. I'm just going to let you guys know that.
All right. We got to talk about GitHub.
All right.
So before we go into this, GitHub was down today.
Yep. It was down last week, too.
So the joke is that the GitHub status page looks like a Christmas tree.
Yep.
Because it should just be all green, and it is definitely not.
It's a lot of red.
And so much so that like people track the real actual GitHub downtime because their actual status page doesn't always show all the issues, or they hide some of the issues. And that looks definitely even more like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So what's going on at GitHub?
I don't know, man. Like, I guess all of us were saying that, oh yeah, the AI generated code is the reason or whatever. But then now it's like getting to a point where, is it a discipline problem? Is it a team problem? Because, you have to, usually you go through a bunch of retrospectives on outages and stuff, and you try to not make the same mistake again. Let's assume that these are all new mistakes, right? That means you're just waiting for the next mistake to happen versus being defensive about your architecture and infrastructure. Like, just because you like solved one fix, you should start thinking about what are the other things that could go wrong. So I was saying this earlier. I think there must need to be a change in leadership, or talent is leaving. One of the two.
Yeah. So I agree with most of that, but I'll play the devil's advocate. GitHub probably is getting hammered at a scale that they could never have predicted 2 years ago. And so if you think about the sheer volume of, because it's just agents writing. I mean, I bet if we looked, I know they've shared some numbers of like the number of repos, the number of people interacting with their APIs. It's probably a scale that they have not been built for. Honestly, like you couldn't have predicted it. And so as much as I, fault GitHub for not being up because so many people depend on them, I can probably see how they got there, right? Yeah. And they're probably scrambling to try to make the infra scale, using coding agents to probably help them get there, making mistakes along the way, because if they don't, they're going to have downtime for other reasons. So so I do think, unfortunately for GitHub, I just question maybe the infra wasn't built for the scale that agents are going to drive, and that does open the opportunity for someone else.
Yeah.
Because someone else isn't going to hit the same scale issues right away, right? You can slowly, and if you build it and architect it for agents for that level of scale from the beginning, you might be able to get there.
But you would think, right? You're a Microsoft company. You have unlimited resources, theoretically. Why can't you iterate? Is it because the code base is over 20 years old and it's hard to do?
Maybe.
Is it because that every product owner that released every feature in GitHub is now working somewhere else, and now you just have a bunch of fools who don't know the history of the code base? Most likely,
Its code base is probably massive and questionable how well even the frontier models can work across that,
Also, another thing is GitHub a sexy company to work for? Is the best talent trying to work at GitHub?
I feel like GitHub is kind of it's almost like working at like the utility company.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like a core system of anything that we do, but it's not the sexiest company to work for anymore.
Especially
at one point, it probably was.
Especially if you can go work for Cursor or you can go work for these other places. It's kind of a shame, man. That's all I got to say. Like last week we had Actions outage. Today a lot of the services were out. They're still being investigated. Yeah. But there's the opportunity for other people today. There's lots of opportunity today for others.
So let's talk about this. This came out today. This is from Cursor. Origin, our code hosting platform, is now live. Very timely release. It's fast, easy to use, and deeply integrated with Cursor. Get started by syncing your repos from GitHub.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Friend of the show, Matt Billman from Netlify, said Netlify is now a Git host. And they basically compared speed-wise to GitHub on a lot of things. It is faster. But what are they calling it?
Netlify Source.
Netlify Source. So Netlify is trying to get in the game as well, being a Git host. Yeah.
I suspect any infra provider is going to get in the game, depending on how the revenue goes for Cursor Origin, as well as like Netlify or whatever.
It's such an uphill battle to play, though.
Yeah.
Because imagine, even if Netlify Source is great, and it might be, it seems like it, benchmark-wise, it looks pretty good, but if you had other things that weren't hosted on Netlify, would you want to use Netlify Source as your Git source? I mean, I guess you could. There's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, but why would you, right? Especially to rebrand that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there really shouldn't be that much lock-in on GitHub because you just pointed at a new origin and it should just all work.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that probably won't, right? Like you have GitHub Actions and all these things that
Security,
you've set up.
Dependabot,
Yeah, you've set up
Renovate.
over time, and now you probably have to rebuild all that in probably a different way. And so I think there's some friction. But maybe with agents, it's a little easier than it used to be to swap.
Yeah. Like I also wonder, like Origin just came out, like the scale of that will scale to however many cursor users want to use it. But it's not the same scale as GitHub, you know?
Yeah.
And so like why do we believe that these new products are going to scale better than GitHub?
I don't think they will, but if they have some kind of like slight sexy factor that gets people to want to do it, especially small teams that are just getting started or that have a project that is more easier to port over, might get you know, it's one of those things that maybe builds up over time, but I think it's a pretty uphill battle.
Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of quick hits. So new from Ramp AI Index, disappointing adoption of Fable 5. So mostly people just saying Fable 5 is too expensive. So maybe Fable 5 needs to, we'll see. But if you do compare just GPT 5.6 to Fable 5, and now you compare Grok 4.6, Fable is just significantly more expensive. And so maybe not everyone will pay for what's perceived as just a very slight edge on most things. Open Vulnerability is a public vulnerability intelligence platform for open source. So if you run an open source project, you can submit your public GitHub repo, and they have an AI engine that'll scan it for vulnerabilities. And it's audited by GLM. This I thought was pretty funny. So a man representing himself in a Connecticut court hid prompt injections in official filings designed to manipulate AI. So he basically knew or predicted the lawyers on the other side would use AI.
So funny.
And so he put hidden text in the filings to try to prompt inject the...
This is why we need watermarks, dude. This is why.
This is from Linear, and this is from last week. It says it's the first week in Linear's history when issues created through MCP surpassed application-created ones. So MCP usage is through the roof.
Wow.
So people are not using UI as much. They just want their agent to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. And that's it. Did we miss anything? If you're in the chat, any news items we missed this week, drop them in now. But yeah, it was a good show.
Great show.
I think it's just wild to see all the, the acquisitions, the fundraisers. There's just a lot of money and interest and hype going around. And I think there's, we had Charlie on today that moved to agents in the cloud. We're seeing that. That's a big trend. I feel like things are only starting to heat up. I think we're going to see a lot more of this over the next couple months.
Things are heating up, dude. You know, it was interesting. I had to keep that Series C announcement from CodeRabbit a secret, and I wanted to tell everybody. But I didn't sign an NDA. I just did Scout's Honor. Friendier. But yeah, super, super happy for them and impressed. Really want one of these paintings for our office too. Like, I need a Renaissance painting of us three. That'd be sick.
Yeah. What do you need, a Series B to get that?
I don't know. I think you got to be cooler than we are. We got to get it from Gamut.
Yeah, Gamut.
Commissioned and produced by Autonomous Agent. Built in minutes.
Gamut. Open invitation. Come on the show.
Paint us.
Get us a painting of me, Abhi, and Sam. We'll get you on the show. Yeah. For those of you tuning in, we appreciate you. Give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Subscribe, like, do the thing on YouTube. You can see. You can follow me on X, smthomas3. Follow Abhi Aiyer. If you know of someone we should be talking to, or have them DM us. DMs are open. We're always looking for interesting guests to talk about what we're building with AI.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That's it for this time on Agents Hour. We'll see you next week.
Peace from CodeRabbit.
Yeah. Yo, that show's a wrap. We were live in the zone. AI Agents Hour, Shane and Abhi on the throne. Did you give us that review? Only if it's a 5. Jump on the tube, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, news so fresh, yeah, we keep you in the loop. Guests so fly, they bring the whole troop. AI on the rise, don't miss this power. Welcome to the show, it's AI Agents Hour. Did you just drop in? Is this your first time? Make sure to follow us on X and go like and subscribe. Yeah, learn the principles and patterns in our books. The Mastra.ai site, give it a look. Yeah, news so fresh, yeah, we keep you in the loop. Guests so fly, they bring the whole troop. AI on the rise, don't miss this power. Welcome to the show, it's AI Agents Hour. This is the end, we are all wrapped up. Another showdown, another one coming up. AI Agents Hour's done, but the news doesn't cease. Shane and Abhi, we out of here. Peace.